Welcome inside the IKS Media Studios for episode 2 of SJHL Insider. I'm your host, Clark Munroe. We're going to jump into it pretty quickly here. On the show today, we're going to update you on the start of the season so far, a couple weeks in now. We're going to talk about the 3 games that happened earlier this week. And plus, we're going to be joined by our latest edition of the Success Starts Here alumni program series that we're doing on SJHL.ca. And we're going to be joined by SJHL alum and now newly named Lindenwood University captain Drew Kuzma. And then we're going to give you an update on the upcoming weekend, of course, with some great hockey games coming up and a whole lot more. But first, we got to thank our sponsors: Canterra Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Canalta Hotels, SGEU, Sask Lotteries, UPL, of course, for sponsoring all of our programs here on SJHL Media, Chevrolet, Great Western, SaskTel, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Vaderstad. Thank you to all of our sponsors, of course. And thank you to this guy to my left, Jamie Neugebauer, who, Jamie, you had a busy night last night. You were on the airwaves. So what happened there? What's going on? Because I know there was another SJHL alum that you bumped into.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning. Thanks for having me as usual. Matty Barrett, the voice of the Edmonton Oil Kings. The Oil Kings are on their Eastern swing, so he invited me to come down to the Brant Center and check out some Edmonton Oil Kings v. Regina Pats action. And I only had one SJHL reference because there was a funky board off the bounce, and it's like, that looks like the Whitney Forum.
Oh, man.
And Matty, of course, a bunch of years in Nipawin and in Melfort, he knows all about the Whitney Forum. So he's like, it does look like. So anyway, it was fun. Yeah, Edmonton is a very talented team.
Yeah, they're good.
Only won 4-3, but the Pats were scrappy too. Got to give them credit.
Yeah.
But boy, the Oil Kings have some talent.
Yeah.
They just got to put it together.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was fun. I saw that last night, so I figured I'd bring it up because Matty Barrett was involved. So shout out to Matt Barrett. But why don't we get right into it, fellas in the back here. It's time for the hat trick. There we go. Topic number 1, of course, we're just going to look back at those 3 games to start the week. So let's have a look at Monday's score recap now on the Sask Lotteries look back. The Humboldt Broncos had a perfect record going into Monday. Not anymore. Kindersley took it to them, and we'll talk about that and how they did that, because it was a bit of a come from behind in the third period. So 5-3 win for Kindersley there. And then on Tuesday, we had 2 more games. A big win for Estevan, sending a message to the rest of the Bungie division, 6-3 over Yorkton. And Melville taking a loss at home against those Nipawin Hawks. So let's start with Monday's Nugsy. We're going to go back to that Humboldt Broncos Kindersley Clippers game. It was it started off with a 2-0 lead for the Kindersley Clippers at home. Jeter Cordy scored late in the second period, and then Connor Miller scored early in the third period to tie it up. Christian Lascelles gave them the lead, so they had a 3-2 lead midway through the third period. And then it was all Kindersley Clippers blue liners from there on. Mason Egan, Austin Aziawi, and Jacob Dennis all scoring late in the third period to give the Clippers the win. So what did you see in this game, Nugsy? Because, we're talking about Humboldt and Kindersley right now, fellas. This is Nipawin and Melville. But there we go. This was an interesting game, and not only because Kindersley, they also sent a message. This is a Nutrien Division game, and this is a big one for them. But Humboldt losing their perfect record, is there any concern there? Or are we just like, you know what, Kindersley just played better that night?
Yeah, I mean, we knew that the Clippers have talent. You know what? You think you go back a couple of years, and for whatever reason, that rink has been a tough one for the Humboldt Broncos, except for, I think, a SaskTel game of the week or game of the month game last year or 2 years ago, whatever it was, where the Broncos didn't have too much trouble. Otherwise, it's been a tough rink. Yeah. Actually, and really, like, it's the home team in this series the last little while that's been the thing. But obviously, we knew that the Clippers have talent, and I'm sure Kyle Schneider and his staff there with Ryan Gibson, the GM, are trying to figure out, how can we get the best Kindersley Clippers team tonight? Because when they're good, they're very good, and when they're good, not as good, they're not as good. But that's, that's just, it's early season. You never know what you're going to get. I think it was also a game where maybe emotions got away from both teams a little bit. I think that both of these teams like to play on the edge. They like to play that physical brand, that heavy brand, and that'll get them in penalty trouble sometimes. But I think the sideshow maybe got in the way a little bit. There was some line brawling. There was some physicality. It was an old-fashioned Donnybrook, and that rivalry is going to be one to watch all year long, I think, Clark, and it'll be interesting to see.
And it was a pretty good sign that we sort of know what we're talking about, because early on in the season we talked about how athletic and dynamic the blue line for the Kindersley Clippers is and was going to be this season. And 3 of their defensemen score in the third. Obviously, Jacob Dennis's was an empty netter, but still, it was from the other side of the ice. So it's still pretty impressive. The goal by Ozzy was really impressive to get the lead.
Yeah, Oshovi, he's a really talented kid, obviously. The Clippers.
Are we going with Oshovi? Can I say that from now on?
Okay. Yeah. He's a talented kid.
We'll go with that.
A talented kid that we've known about for a while. Just was trying to get him going, a little slow start. Also, a beautiful goal by Van Egger. The first goal of the game was just a beauty, too, just him showing his speed. Can I also point out, I don't know if you want to move on, but I just want to point out, I think, 7 games in a row in the league, the last 7 games in the league, one of the teams have scored 3 goals, exactly.
Oh, wow.
So
that's super specific.
7 in a row.
I love that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in a row.
Yeah.
One of the teams has scored 3 goals. So.
Just a very OCD thing that you just noticed.
Look at all those threes. 3, 3.
Let's move on to Tuesday night, Nugsy. Obviously a big win there for Kindersley, so we'll move on now. Tuesday night, another big win. Let's start with the Estevan Bruins beating the Yorkton Terriers. Yorkton had been off since opening weekend, so a little bit rusty maybe coming into this one, but it was close early. I mean, Estevan got, well, I shouldn't say that. Estevan got the first 3 goals, and then Tommy Reese got one to kind of get it a little bit closer. Vinny Junek got the second goal of the night in the second period. So it was 3-2 going into the third period. But then Estevan took over with goals from Ewan Rennie. The youngster, Cramp, got his first goal. Oliver Cramp, his first goal in the SJHL. And then Ethan Andrews, my boy from the fantasy hockey draft, he kind of sealed the deal late in the third period. But Nugsy, I'm liking what I'm seeing from this Estevan group so far. I mean, it's really early. You were at this game. So what can you tell me about what you saw in the rink?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly it was hard to judge Yorkton, especially early. Tough start for young Montoya. I'm sure he'll have better days ahead. In net there for Yorkton. Hard, again, they were off for 10 days. They hadn't played a game since September the 20th and then October the 30th. So they were clearly rusty the first little while. So I don't really take a ton from this game other than, certainly Rylan Williams looks like he's going to run the league over probably. He's just been a one-man force putting up points and, full value to him. That Estevan power play looks very good.
Loving those Yorkton jerseys.
Really
just for those who are listening on the podcast, we're seeing 2 new jerseys
Jacob
here.
Jacob Faith was calling it, I think he was calling it, what was he saying with the big T on the University of Tennessee.
Sure, the Volunteers.
The Volunteers, the Tennessee Terriers. No, but obviously, certainly lots of character in the Yorkton Terriers, so that was a big thing that I saw because it was 3-0 fast for Estevan, and it could have been worse. Callum Craig came in, and he was awesome in relief of Montoya, and Brady Carr was awesome for Estevan.
Yeah, he had a big first win.
It's a 6-3 game. You're like, the goalies, but Brady Carr and Callum Craig were both brilliant in a kind of sloppy game, I'll be honest. Both teams were turning pucks over kind of left and right, and I'm sure both coaches were pulling their hair out a little bit at times. But, certainly the forward presence for Estevan, there is firepower. If you give them opportunities, they're going to burn you, and the lead was a little bit too big. Yorkton brought it back to 3-2. Tommy Reese looks great for Yorkton.
Yeah.
Obviously we're going to talk about the Western All-Star Challenge here in a minute. But, obviously you've got to be very limited, I think, in how many 06s you take. But I don't see how you don't take Tommy Reese on the back end. And, it's a thing where Yorkton, it's hard to judge because they didn't play for 10 days and it looked like it for a lot of that game.
Yeah. That's definitely something to consider for sure in all of that. And, we mentioned Rylan Williams having a great night and Ewan Rennie getting a goal here. I think when we look at Estevan last year, obviously Ewan Rennie, point per game guy, I think the biggest thing last year, the biggest issue was there just wasn't enough support with him to kind of on a nightly basis, put the puck in the back of the net. And now I think what we're seeing with the offseason that they had, they've put some pieces around him, especially Rylan Williams, but not just that line, it's the other lines as well, where they have guys who can put the puck in the net and move the puck around the ice pretty quick. And I think we're looking at an Estevan Bruins team that's going to be a lot different from the last year's version, is all I'm saying. And it's going to be an interesting team to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, just last thing, I'm sure Drew Kosher is thinking about, how can we get a little more experience on the back end?
Yeah.
Ethan Andrews is playing great, and I'm so happy for him. And obviously, he and I are really good friends, and I think he's a wonderful kid. But he can't play the whole night.
Yeah.
And Aiden Lang is a really talented, young, good defenseman. Parker Seymour is a good young defenseman. They got some really good, really young guys, but they're just really young on the back end right now, and that's hard in this league. So
definitely
maybe a piece or two. Obviously, losing Logan
Goodwin,
but
losing him is
Alex
is
Scheck
tough.
is there too, obviously. But I just think maybe one or two more veteran pieces back there, and maybe Estevan's in business.
Well, keep an eye on it. You never know.
Yep.
You never know. Drew Kosher's first year in the league. I'm sure he wants to make a splash.
First year
he wants to make a
without
splash.
the interim tag.
Without the interim tag, of course. Yeah. The Nipawin Hawks took a win in Melville, and it was a big one for them. I think moving their record to 3-1. Nugsy, unfortunate loss for Melville at home. It was a close one. A late third period goal was what sealed it, so it was tied going late into the third period. But I don't know if you saw too much, because I know you were in Estevan this night.
Yeah.
But what can you see, and what can you tell me from this game?
Well, it's again, like, it's a small sample size, but Nipawin is 6 for 18 on the power play this year. 33.3%.
Usually a good
pace.
That
is like 6-point percentages better than anybody else in the league right now. And Van Taylor did snatch the winner there with about 6.5 minutes left in the third period. This game really could have gone either way. And once again, it's kind of hard luck stuff for Melville, because once again, they've played really well.
Yeah.
And once again, they didn't come up with anything or as many points as they would have liked. Against Humboldt, they really were right in those games, could have come up with, but lost both of them in overtime. So, it's, again, I wonder, and I'm sure Cale Margolis will help, but, it's a situation for Melville where I'm sure they're looking for a little bit more dynamic offense. We talked about it a lot last year, too,
Yeah, we
right?
did.
Great performance, bought into Doug's system, but who's that guy that's going to score the goal? And so Melville, they had plenty of chances. Gage Roberts was very good.
Yeah, you see that breakaway late in the third period. Huge save there by Gage Roberts. Brendan Olsen getting the 2 goals for the Melville Millionaires on this night.
We're not surprised with that.
Exactly. He's a guy that we expected to kind of be that offensive driving force for them. Cale Margolis, like you said, is going to be a nice piece. Another late, last 2 minutes, a late breakaway there, just kind of fanned on the puck, unfortunately. But, it was a very, very close game. And here's what I'll say right now. This series between these two teams, I think, would be really, really interesting.
Well, to me
39 shots for Melville,
this game
too.
says more positively, for sure, about Nipawin than any sort of negative thing I would ever say about Melville. I'm very impressed with Melville.
Yeah.
I predicted them to win the Bungie, even though maybe there's more talent on Weyburn.
Yeah.
But I just love the way they buy in. I love the way they play for 60 minutes for Doug. I think Margolis, as I said, will really help. Braden Gourley has also really helped. But I think that just says a lot about Tad Kozin and his guys, that when they lock in, they're not just an offensive machine.
Yeah, they can play tight games,
a
too.
tight game, too.
Yeah.
So I think that's really a really positive thing if you're a Nipawin Hawks fan.
Absolutely. And for Tad Kozin, beating his old coach. So
well,
felt pretty good.
Beating his old coach, I'm sure it stunk for Doug to lose. I'm sure he always stinks to lose to Nipawin for him. But
I wonder if they had anything on the line between the two of them, a little friendly wager. I'm not sure. We'll have to maybe ask sometime. Let's move on to our second topic of the hat trick. As I know our guest is in and waiting, so we don't want to keep him waiting too long here, but we won't be much longer. The Western All-Star Challenge, Nugsy, is a month away. It feels like we just started the season, and already this is already a month away. Can you just remind everybody what this is? It happened last year, so we're doing it again this year. But can you remind everybody what this is and why and who might be involved? Yeah,
so last year it was in Warman. This year it's in Martensville.
Yeah, just down the road.
And down the road, and it's for 06 birth years and younger. The SJ U19 All-Stars will take on the Manitoba Junior League U19 All-Stars. And from there, guys will be picked to try out for Team Canada West at the Junior A World Challenge. So they'll practice on the 3rd, play games on the 4th and 5th against each other. There's a limited number of 06s allowed on Canada West. So, I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye on 07s and younger for the SJ, though there's probably a few 06s that they maybe need to take. But, otherwise, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch there in Martensville. So We'll see what there'll definitely be we'll have a lot of coverage around it. It's starting November the 3rd, so you can come out and watch that and pay attention to SJHL social media and our shows.
It's going to be fun. And obviously, as we get a little bit closer, we'll be releasing rosters. We'll talk about player names and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I just have a few names that I just want to talk about quickly that you might see. And obviously, this is just all about conjecture because I have no say as much as every year. I'm like, I should have some say, but I don't ever have any say. Obviously, Warman has two very, very talented 07 goalies. Obviously, they're not going to take two goalies from the same team, you would think, but Tay Timmerman and Griffin Wright are both excellent goalies. Obviously, Christian Radke in Kindersley, Zezel in Larange, Kaysen Kabelka was awesome. He's definitely an option, and I think he's a really good option, especially given where he plays and the cachet that Melfort has right now. Obviously Nick Kotai, Callum Craig, Halloran are 06s, but then they were there last. So we'll see if they go with the 06 route, though I would think you would go with an 07 and younger goalie if you can. On back end, obviously Jackson Herchak, if he's healthy. The injury situation there is scary to me, but obviously he's an 07. He played on Canada West last year. Should be there probably. Lincoln Fisher, Fierson Lindorf, I think is one that definitely deserves a look. The Matthias DeZen in Larange, Ryder McKinnon in Larange. Think about 06s. Tommy Reese, I think, has been awesome. Mentioned you try to limit your 06s, but Tommy was there last year. He's in that caliber, He's so elite in this league. Simon Martin as well. For Weyburn is an 06 as well. And then up front, I'll try to be quick. Mason Moreland should be there. Like he's an 09 playing in this league and playing well. Warman Wolverines 09 birth year. He should be there and he's good. Ethan Dundas as an 08 as well is an option. Obviously there's a bunch of good 07s up in Flin, Flon. You think about Wyatt Stinton and Nathan Lalumiere and Ryder Muka. And while there's Witter and Jansen. Obviously, Witter is somebody that was there last year, too. Callis Pierce is an 06. Gabe Corshane is an 06. Mason Karkachuk, also an 06. Aiden Valance is an 07. So these are names that, I fully expect to get a good look. Plenty of Flin Flon Bombers will be there, you'd imagine, but because they got a much younger team than they usually do up in Flin Flon. But definitely something to keep an eye on.
Definitely. Well, that's fun to think about, and we'll have you have more information as we get closer to the date. Let's have a look at our stat leaders for topic number 3. We'll have a look at the scoring leaders first, so why don't we bring those up now, and we'll just talk about that. Rylan Williams, like Nugsy mentioned earlier, running away with it at the moment. Obviously, it's still very early, only 5 to 6 games in for most of these teams or less, so still very early, but a very good pace so far. And you see his teammate Ewan Rennie down there in 4th, so a couple of it's a dynamic duo in Estevan for now. Jacob Streetsy leading the league in goals with 6. Gavin Granger leading the league in defensive points with 7, and they haven't played, it feels like, in forever, so it'll be good to see Battlefords get back on the ice. Rookie leader Rowan Burgess right now in Weyburn with 4 goals, 6 points in 5 games. And then you can see the couple of Flin Flon Bombers there. Callis Pierce is another one. Connor Miller, he's been good so far this year, point per game pace. And Avery Johnson with 6 points so far. So there's our scoring leaders. Let's look at our goalies across the league right now. Again, even the smaller sample size because obviously the goalies are splitting time for the most part right now as you kind of ease your way into the season. You don't want to give anybody too much of a workload. However, Charlie Tritt and Devin Peck are obviously the MVP and the goalie of the week from last week. They've been outstanding. Kaysen Kabelka's putting up a big statement so far across the league. In terms of, he's played 3 games for Melfort. Very good numbers there beside his name. Brady Carr with his big first win of the season earlier this week, as we mentioned, against Yorkton. And then you see some of the other names down there as well. Some young guys near the bottom, which is good to see. Griffin Wright, Nick Kotai, Cale Svensson. Gage Roberts he's not a young guy anymore. He's still a young guy. But let's move on, Nugsy. I'm going to give this one to you. The face-offs. We got to take a look at this. The face-off forces. There's some movement up at the top.
Yeah, there you go. And again, love the face-off guys because you need them, but they don't always get the glory because it doesn't show up on the SJHL.ca staff pages. But these are the percentages. I kind of cut it off at, I believe, 80 face-offs so far this year. I'll keep on moving that. Schmid is going to be on this list like all year probably. Connor Miller's a good bet as well. But Noah Asmundsson taking big face-offs for Estevan, late in games. He's getting a real good opportunity with big players. Played in the SI, I believe, last year. So getting an option. And Leo Jewett's actually been in the SJ for a long time, even though he's an 07. Another guy that could definitely see at the Western All-Star Challenge.
Sure.
So, and Riley Rich Holden, you know, I wouldn't really think of him as a centerman. I think he's more of a power forward winger type. But again, Warman doesn't have that many, you know, centermen. I know Cam Sarna is, but you know, outside of that, you know, Riley Rich Holden's big enough, and he's got the hands for it. So, you know, good for him to get up there as well.
There you go. Shout out to the face-off forces. Okay. Nugsy, we're going to move on to our interview segment here. Our Success Starts Here alumni interview. And we're going to be joined here in just a second by former Weyburn Red Wing, former Flin Flon Bomber, and now your captain of the Lindenwood Lions, a.k.a. SJHL South, Drew Kuzma. Drew, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
So, Drew, you're entering your 4th year now at Lindenwood. Like, I kind of joked that it's SJHL South. A lot of SJHL guys down there. And now you've been named the captain. So what does that title mean for you as we are going into this season here today?
Yeah, I know. I think it's just honor. You know, I'm just so humbled and just happy to be named captain there. It means the world. Obviously, I've been there for a while. So I think just to get the honor to wear the C on my chest there means a lot.
So, Drew, we're calling this segment this season the Success Starts Here segment. This Stay Here, Play Here model is something that we've been doing in the SJHL for a couple of years now. So I just want to talk about your junior hockey career really quick. If you can think back, you had a bit of a weird one because it was obviously through the COVID stretch, which is unfortunate. Obviously, it kind of threw a lot of people off. How did that adversity affect you as you were kind of navigating and trying to find your way through junior hockey and then obviously figuring out your options for the next level? I'm sure it was a lot different than your average hockey player over the years.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, my first year when we were in Weyburn, we only played 5 games, and it was all 5 of those games were against Estevan. And so that was obviously kind of difficult to play the same team 5 times, especially that Estevan team was, as a rookie, they had some pretty tough guys on that squad, so it wasn't really the team you want to play 5 times, but it definitely kind of helped me get confidence playing all those guys going into my second year, because I just felt like when I got into the league for my second year, I felt very confident in that I could push limits and be one of the top players in this league. So, yeah, so COVID, it was definitely weird, but it definitely was it definitely helped in my favor for sure, because I think I was a bit underdeveloped too. So to get that kind of only couple games under my belt kind of let me practice more and train and work out throughout the year and get stronger and faster for the next coming year.
Obviously, you know, in our league, we've got a great perspective on all of your captain group, your leadership group there. And with you have 2 guys that were unbelievable captains in this league. Like, you think about SJ captains the last, decade. These 2 guys, are right at the top of the list for being great captains in our league. You know, Ethan Zilke, of course, with Humboldt, Jake Southgate with a historic Battlefords team. And now they'll be with you there wearing the A's in Lindenwood. I guess just what are you drawing on those 2 guys as you head into this?
Yeah, no, they're 2 of the best leaders we have in the room. I mean, either one of them could be wearing the C2, and I'd be just so proud to be under them as well. They're 2 of the best guys. They're not only are they great hockey players, they're just great guys. You know what I mean? I feel like guys in the room gravitate towards them. You kind of want to hang out with them. They're just 2 of the best guys. But.
Yeah, for sure. So I've got 2 questions, and they're kind of linked. You know, I always wonder, you know, the difference once you get to university hockey, college hockey, in the mindset that you need every day, in the way that you approach everything, be it a game, be it a practice, being a workout. And it's kind of almost like that question of, what advice do you give junior hockey players today? What advice would you give SJHL players maybe tuning into this?
Yeah, no, I think one thing definitely is just believe in yourself. You know, you never really know when the opportunity is going to come. I mean, I surely didn't expect after the year I had to be in the position I was, but just believe in yourself and never really get too high, never really get too low. I think in college you can you can bury yourself where we don't play too many games, right? So everything's kind of earned in practice. So you can kind of get lost in transition between if you have a good practice or a bad practice, and that can kind of weigh on you for a whole week. So I think you just always got to stay level-headed and just be ready to work when your time comes.
For sure. And then just kind of the second part of that question is, as much as college hockey is such a step up and some of these dudes have kids maybe, and like it's almost like another world. They got huge beards, even though up in, we played in Flin, Flon, so they tend to have great beards up in Flin, Flon anyways. But, just talk about what the SJHL did for you, both on and off the ice, style of play, being in a different province, being away from home. How did the SJHL help you, prepare you for where you are today?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think obviously the SJ being more physical league obviously has a good mix of physical and skill. But I think with it being more of a physical league, you kind of, when I got to college, I was already like integrated in how I could play, being that physical style of game. Because obviously, like I said before, you kind of earn your ice in practice with not playing too many games. So I think when I first got to practice my freshman year, it was like a big, like, you finish every check, you play through the whistle, and I was like, holy cow, what's going on here? But I think I was already used to playing like that because I was going against all these bigger, or not bigger, but like strong farm boys, kind of stuff like that, right? So you'd be going against these strong guys where it's like, okay, I feel ready for this level.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I'm just noticing as I kind of look through, the Lindenwood Athletics website is that it's down in St. Charles, Missouri. You've been there for a few years now, so I'm sure that you've been able to get out and travel a little bit around the area. What's the thing to do in St. Charles, Missouri?
St. Charles, Missouri. I think check out the Main Street. We have this it's like a Hallmark movie Main Street, or right by our school. It's about 5 minutes. It's just like all these little boutique stores and whatnot. It's like brick roads, so it's kind of this nice little area. Just walk around. They got a bunch of coffee shops, little restaurants and whatnot, so that'd definitely be the spot to check out.
Nice.
If you're not watching a hockey game.
Right, exactly, for sure. What's the support like down there in terms of for the hockey team? Is because my brother, I don't know, a little bit of history here. My brother played in the SJHL as well. About when you were born, he was playing, and he played his college hockey in Huntsville, Alabama, at the University of Huntsville. So I mean, it's kind of close. What's the support like down south there for hockey?
Yeah, no, it's good. We tend to, our coaches emphasize a lot of us getting out in the community and going to skate with younger teams and whatnot. So that definitely helps us get more fans with out of the community. And then school-wise, we get a decent crowd. We actually just this year, because our rink's about 5 to 10 minutes off campus. So this year they just started a busing program where they're bringing charter buses to school and they're driving the students there. So that will definitely help this year. So yeah, no, we get a decent crowd for sure.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned there before, obviously in the SJ you had to bang in practice with like the Kirk Mullins and Zach Smith, who was a handful, and one of the best dudes ever, Nicky Sombrowski, who everybody who's around Nicky Sombrowski obviously loves that guy. But, I got to ask you about that, that run there, with the Bombers and heartbreak there. And I was just in Estevan a couple of days ago, and we were talking about, the moment that we don't need to talk about, where you kind of got taken down and there was some controversy and whatever. But I guess just what did you learn, through that run, through the Centennial Cup, and how well you guys did, there playing for Mike. Obviously, he prepares kids, just constantly for life and for the next level. I guess what did you learn in that run specifically?
Yeah, I think exactly that, like just brotherhood. I mean, we had such a close team. It was so fun to come to the rink every day. Like, there wasn't one day where I was in Flin Flon and I dreaded, we got practice today. We got game. You know what I mean? It was just like, even when when I got there, they were on that 8-game win streak, and then we ended up losing. Like, I think we were 3-12 going into playoffs there. We had a bad little spot there, but it was like, even through that, it was still like we still all believed in each other. It was just, Coach Mike just does such a great job at just kind of bringing a brotherhood together. And yeah, it was so fun playing there and just being able to be with those guys every day.
Fair enough. I got to ask you, a big question. Let's zoom in. Let's talk about the moose leg incident.
Yeah.
What was your memory of that whole shenanigan just for big picture? I'll tell people, Bombers win the game. They throw the moose leg. Kid on Estevan grabs it, turns into a big thing. It was historic. What was your perspective on all that?
Yeah, it was definitely, I didn't really notice. I think we were celebrating. I was like with Shell, our goalie, and then I like turned back, and I think Reese Richmond and maybe another guy were like down there, like in the pile with like all the Estevan guys, and you're kind of just turning around like, what's going on? And then obviously you hear news that the one guy stole the Moose Lakes. It was kind of just like, what? I didn't even know someone would do that.
Yeah.
But I remember we were just kind of talking about, because that was game 4, right? Game 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, I guess the curse, they got the curse now, because there's always that Weyburn or whatever had the curse.
Yeah.
So
2016, yeah.
we were like, oh, they had the curse, but they ended up beating us the next game, so it didn't really matter. But
not in Flin
it was definitely just a shock that we had him in Flin Flon, but it was definitely just a shock that that he did that.
It was a northern Manitoba boy playing for Estevan too. So that was exciting stuff. Very cool. Now, last question for me, Drew. Obviously, we could talk forever, reminisce forever, but Clark asked you a few questions about Lindenwood, kind of in the St. Louis kind of bubble, but I guess just now that you're a captain, you have to talk to new guys, maybe prospective recruits, whatnot. What's the sales pitch about Lindenwood? Why should people come there? What do you like about it? What are the facilities like? Tell people kind of what you say when people ask you what's it like playing there.
Yeah, I know. I think one thing definitely is I think our coaching staff's top notch. We have a new coach this year, Keith Fisher, and he's done a tremendous job so far through this preseason, getting us ready and just kind of getting us going for the season. And I think another thing with us being independent, we have one of the toughest schedules every year because we get to pick and choose who we want to play, right? So we just play all these good teams out of conference. And I mean, my freshman year my first game was number 1 ranked Minnesota. I was like, holy, this is kind of crazy. But yeah, so I think that's definitely a big thing, is you just get to see so many different teams. And then obviously we just have such a good group in the room. I've never had one bad year with guys. We've always been so tight, and it's just such like kind of how it was in Flin Flon. You just enjoy coming to the rink, and definitely this year I feel like we're definitely going to make some noise and kind of show what Lindenwood's all about going into our 4th year as being Division I program.
Well, we love that, Drew, and really appreciate your time here today. We're all going to be keeping an eye on your program this season, so good luck the rest of the way, and congrats on being named captain, and appreciate your time today. We'll chat again soon.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
There we go. Drew Kuzma, SJHL alum, part of the Success Starts Here series.
Yeah, I think it really says, a lot about the type of kids that we tend to have in our league, that they're constantly getting opportunities to be big players, but also leaders, where they're going. Obviously, Tynan Ewart is the captain now in Northern Michigan too. Yeah. The whole Red Deer College coaching captaincy group is SJ kids. So, you go down the list. There's so many leaders that have come from our league and gone on to other places, and it's awesome. And then, obviously, last thing about Drew Kuzma for me is, I was going to ask him if we had another second maybe, but I called him the Planet a lot during that playoff run, because he would just take so much attention because he was so big, and then all that Flin Flon power play. Yeah, and I don't think he was 100% healthy when he was playing, but he was really, really good, and obviously he thrived both in Weyburn for sure, but also in Flin Flon.
He definitely took another step.
The butterfly wings came out for sure.
Yeah, I mean he had 20 points in 30 games in Weyburn, but he definitely took another step, almost a point per game in Flin Flon, and then a huge playoff run too.
He was good.
So, anyways, very thankful for Drew for joining us today. He had 17 points in 18 games in that playoff run.
Yeah,
so huge playoff run. Nugsy, let's look ahead here to the rest of the week, because we have some big games coming up this weekend. So why don't we start with Friday? We have games Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So just the 3 games on Friday here. Warman's going to be in Flin Flon. So Flin Flon fans, you get your first chance to take a look at the Warman Wolverines. Nipawin's hosting Estevan in the battle of the Black and Golds. And then Melville is going to be playing the Weyburn Red Wings. So that's going to be an interesting Bungie division matchup, as we kind of have early touted them as maybe the top 2 potential teams in that division. So we'll have to see who comes out on top there. As we move on to Saturday, we have the Weyburn Red Wings and Melville Millionaires again, flipping venues, of course. Warman's going to remain up in Flin Flon, another one. That's obviously 7:30 local time in Flin Flon, so that'll be 6:30 Saskatchewan time. Humboldt and Yorkton in a battle of the the dog and pony. The only thing we have left in the dog and pony show now that the Hounds are gone. So that's going to be the dog and pony show rivalry from now on, I guess. The Melfort Mustangs and Battleford's North Stars are taking each other on, and then Estevan and Larange. And then on Sunday, Estevan's still in Larange for a 3 p.m. afternoon game on Sunday. So a big weekend coming up here, Nugsy. What are you looking forward to for the rest of the week here?
Yeah, again, you said it, the Bungie division is going to be so tight that Weyburn, Melville, those two teams are going to be looking to make a statement and say we are the premium team in this division. And you know, Cody Mapes and Doug Johnson are two highly competitive coaches. They're great friends. I know they like each other a lot. They're good friends. They always coach together at these, you know, showcase events when we have them. But they compete hard against each other too, and so that'll be a lot of fun. And two very competitive teams too. Just
a quick revision, because as I was saying that Friday graphic, I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's more than 3 games on Friday. There is. Yorkton plays Humboldt on Friday night, and Battleford's plays Melfort on Friday night too. So we just had a little error on that graphic, which is not a big deal. But I was just like, I'm pretty sure we had talked about that Yorkton Humboldt game. So on Friday night. So just mentioning that for fans in the areas, make sure you get your tickets. It's going to be a great weekend, Nugsy. I'm looking forward to checking out some games. Obviously, we don't usually get out of an episode of Insider at this time of the year without talking about the Toronto Blue Jays, Nugsy. They also play on Saturday, which is a big game. And it's going to be a morning game, it sounds like, depending on who wins, I think, this Yankees-Red Sox series. But I'm sure you'll be tuning into that. So that'll be an interesting one for this weekend. A nice little kind of an early morning matinee sort of game to kind of get us ready for the SJHL schedule.
Well, my understanding is that if it's the Red Sox, then it'll be morning on
11 or something a.m. Saskatchewan
If it's the
time.
Yankees, it'll be, I think, 1 or 2 every game.
So it'll be an afternoon
Yankees
game.
Pushed back a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, again, either way, the Jays have been practicing. I don't see there's any way that they can get Bo Bichette based on
it sounds like he's not back.
Doesn't sound like it.
Unless they're just like putting a whole bunch of teasers out there to make it seem like he's not back, and then all of a sudden he's going to be back. But I don't think that's how that works.
I know this is SJHL Insider, but I will ask you one question.
Yeah.
First 3 games, who's starting for the Jays?
I think you got to go Gosman.
Yeah.
You got to go Bieber.
Yeah.
And then to me, I know he had a terrible last few games, but I think you still got to go with Scherzer.
Mad Max.
You sure about
but
that?
Trey Savage would be
sure
hard
about
with how
that?
well he's done to not utilize him as well.
Well,
so I don't know.
Welcome to Yankee Stadium or Fenway.
I know, but that's the thing, right? Tough. Is if it's game 3, I don't think you throw Trey Savage in that situation. So
here's what I think they're going to do. I agree with you.
Maybe you give Savage a home start.
I think you start with like either Gossman or Bieber, and then you go use Savage second.
Game 2, and then save one of those other guys for game 3.
Save one of those other guys for game 3.
And then see what happens.
And then you can piggyback Lauer and use Savage again.
Yeah.
Throw in Varland, who's been great lately.
Yeah.
Sort of have those 3 be like piggyback in some sort of order.
Yeah.
So should be interesting.
Well, there you go. There's our Blue Jays minute.
Yeah.
Just had to get that in there. But Nugsy, appreciate you today. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media channels and get your Flow Hockey subscription so that you can stay on top of all the news and stuff going around the league. Flow Hockey down there, you can see. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. Especially for all those new parents who are just tuning in for the new kids in the league, and you're just like, oh wow, there's lots of coverage for this league. Yes, please subscribe. It makes a big difference and helps us out, so please do that. And make sure we got to give a shout out to our sponsors, of course, before we go. So we'll do that, and we'll say thank you to Cantera Seats, Capital Auto Mall, Canalta Hotels, SGEU, Sask Lotteries, UPL, Chevrolet, Great Western, SaskTel, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Vaterstad. Thank you to all our sponsors. Thanks to the boys in the back for shuffling around their day to get this done here today. Appreciate you all.
That'll do it. Yeah,
and
that'll do it.
We'll see you guys on Monday for SJHL Weekly. And then next week, I think we teased it that we're going to start our Friday Night Spotlight series this week. Next week, I think we're going to start our Friday Night Spotlight series. So stay tuned for that. It'll be a fun one. And a big game next week. We'll tease that. But for now, enjoy the weekend. And it's going to be a great weekend of hockey. So get out to the rinks and enjoy it, folks.